and that should help us avoid all this source code shit that we've been having. Like every month it keeps breaking, and then the mints get delayed. And yeah, now we have this coordinate circle, which seems pretty reliable. And at the beginning of the week, I wrote that. Actually, not the beginning of the week, during the weekend, I wrote that massive forum post about like Metagame DAO 2.0, which is this huge post about governance, these circles, rings, and compensation, and all kinds of shit that we should take care of in the next month. So I've been thinking a lot more about that. Yeah, I don't have much personal to share. I've just been thinking about Metagame the whole time as usual. Oh, I got the new climbing shoes, so I'm going to go test them today. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the coordinate. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, that the coordinate update seems kind of cool. I like the opportunity that people can allocate gifts in order to distribute the reward. I have maybe 6 months being part of a People DAO circle, but I never interacted there because I didn't know how it works. And, you know, honestly, I wasn't like involved in that coordinate too much. And I can understand now better. I like the idea because it can motivate or, you know, keep on track. It's like some kind of avid garden, but coordinate, because we can be accountable over there as well as the data thing. I think it's about the mechanism we have to share what we are doing and coordinate and align to make it useful or most optimal.
Right. Yeah, it's a bit of a smoother interface to reporting and evaluating other people's stuff and looking at all the contributions and all of that, as opposed to data thing. I really like it.
Yesterday in Bart's night was really great to share with this Biolik. Also, we were sharing with Tommy. And we were developing an idea that I was also talking with Buggy. This Biolik has this nice idea to create POAPs from the Bart's night. And these POAPs can have a link that can deliver people to the recording of the Bart's night of that week. And I was telling him that if we upload these videos to TreeSpeak, it can be great to get a second layer of income and connect with the crypto community. He told me that Boogie is connecting with LensTuff, so LensTuff can be a great fit too. I think that we have a lot of really nice content, and we can get second layer tokenization, second layer of income by uploading it to the right places that can help us in like this milestone that we have. You know, we don't have 1 million views on our videos, we don't have 1 million likes, but our content is valuable. We know it, and I think can be great to make once we have full setup. We were talking about different blocks for Bart's night along the month, maybe 2 open mics, as we are doing it right now that we don't have internet, an interview once a month, and also maybe a playlist selector with this Biolik, because he told us that he has more than 10 years compiling music from their friends. What is the favorite music of all his friends gathering here? I think it can be great to share about this music and the stories behind them.
Nice. Yeah, I love these ideas. And yeah, for LensTube as well, like the Bars Night and the community calls as well. Like, doesn't matter if they bring any more income, but just if they even if it's just a few more people that see our videos on those platforms and then they join Metagame, that's going to be a huge value.
Increasing the exposure. Sorry, bro. Yeah, man.
Definitely. And yeah, before, yeah.
Oh, that we had this idea that once we are set up here with the internet, we have semi-professional audio and video equipment. We have a semi-professional camera, a Nikon, and we have a couple of good microphones, the audio interface. So once we have internet, we can make a Twitch stream, let's say once in a month. Maybe it's part of the same Bart's Night, but the idea is that we can make a Twitch stream that we can interconnect to different metaverses, right? And we can not only share the live music we share in 42 hertz and or Vive, but we can have a recap with the different guilds and share in that space what our developers have been doing and what our community have been doing. And we can have a QR code behind the video, in our cover, and people can fund us, can tip us, like a open suitcase in the middle of the street. But not only to tip the musicians, but to get funding for Metagame, a really organic one that is also a space to share with wider communities what Metagame have been up to.
I love that. Yeah, it kind of goes with the idea of having meta news, which we've been talking about for a long time, but just nobody to step up and run the news. But yeah, the idea was to just have somebody once a month or once every 2 weeks or something to at least read from the newsletter and do like a newscast from Metagame. So this sounds perfect.
It's like to share in audio the newsletter.
Yeah, that would be like the most basic idea, but it can be any. If somebody's,
I mean, that's what a bard does, right?
Awesome.
They sing stories, and he's like, there's a story about it. Yeah, I like it.
He's the bard, the storytelling, and the bards share the stories of their communities and share these stories with other communities. So, the newsletter. How is the periodicity of the newsletter? Is every week, every month?
Now it's every week and a bit even a bit more often, but the news section will be coming once a month. So before it was once every 2 weeks. It was everything, but now we split it up. So the news part will be once a month, but there will be a newsletter every week.
Oh, that's beautiful, because we can make the Bart's Twitch stream newsletter voiceover once a month, making a synthesis of the previous 4 newsletters of that month, highlighting the top news. Can be something like that.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds really, really nice.
Really quick technical question. For Bogey, can you upload HEVC to LensTube, or do you need X264?
I think it's got to be X264, yeah.
Okay. Did you see my thing about compressing a Winamp visualizer is 30 gigabytes for the 2-hour video?
That's crazy.
Yeah. We'll see how the WebM comes out. I'll get you something.
All right, my bro. Thank you.
I also wanted to mention I installed the Mochi bot today, and I see Alec join us here as well. So yeah, for those who weren't here a few weeks ago, Mochi uses like a coordination game that runs in Discord. It's used for helping people stick to their goals and having these like accountability circles where people can stake tokens and have teams and then like keep each other accountable. And then like there's a bunch of cool mechanics, like if we have a team of 4 of us and then I fail at committing to my habit or like whatever task that we decided to make, then it's not just me that loses my tokens that I staked, but also like the whole team loses. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there, and there's a new channel currently for it called POW, which is short for Proof of Work, which will be streaming people's reports from the team channel. And the idea is that we could just start using it, so it would replace, it would get renamed to Stick to Goals, so we could start using it for people who want to use it to like stick to their personal goals, whatever habit they want to start or get rid of, and then see how it goes. And then if you really like it, we could even start using it for like reporting on project stuff.
guys. Just wanted to say super excited to have Mochi in here. And if anyone like has any questions about anything that Pete just shared, or like especially as you guys get up and running with the game, ping me anytime. I'll be hanging out in here a lot. I see Louis in here. We've done Mochi in his community over in 2plus. Danielle, we met in Paris. I saw you give a presentation on RnDAO, so definitely I know a lot of interesting stuff being built within Metagame and within the network here. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me anytime, either here in the server. You can ping me, you guys can DM me. And yeah, let's stick to some goals.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I also pasted a link that he shared for like helping people get started. And the teams are limited to 4 people. So we will start the first team in the next few days. So yeah, whoever is interested in starting a habit or getting rid of a habit and testing Mochi, just post in that POW channel below. And yeah, we'll get the team started this weekend.
By the way, family, I just saw the POW, the proof of work channel. Much about this there. What is this about?
So basically every day, anyone who's playing Mochi will be pinged by MochiBot to submit a report. It's just a quick report that you'd use to check in on your goal. So the default questions are, how are you feeling today? What have you done toward your goal? What are you planning to do next? And then a fourth question that's geared towards self-reflection. So basically the POW channel, which stands for 2 things. It stands for proof of work, obviously, but we refer to those daily reports as pearls of wisdom. So it's basically a real-time feed of everybody in the community who is checking in. So part of our ethos is building in public and social accountability. So essentially your daily progress toward your goals will be publicly viewable within that channel.
Oh, that's nice. Really great to be in touch, to be accountable with ourselves, but at the same time to share that journey with others. So others can basically also, if they feel like it, give us a feedback about our actual Mochi task that we are providing info, right?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, sure. That now, if all the information we share with the Mochi is going to be displayed for everybody, if somebody resonates with our current task, it can give us some feedback also, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, part of our ethos as well as like building in public is like emergence. So we love to see like new relationships and even like products and DAOs, all kinds of things have emerged from that like public check-in process, right? Because you can kind of more quickly identify who within the community is working on things, whether like internal things or like projects that resonate with you. So yeah, definitely encourage you guys to like as this gets going to just like pop into that proof of work channel just to see what others are working on, how they're feeling. Because it can be a really great way to make new friends and deepen our like existing relationships as well.
Awesome. So yeah, whoever is interested, just pop in there and let's get the team going.
Oh, I'm so down to experiment with this Mochi. Seems incredible. I think it can really work for me because that kind of flow of sharing what I'm doing and so helps me so much to actually, affirm those tasks into my daily doing.
Quite a few people here.
Yeah, seems like a cool tool.
Yeah, we start in 3 minutes with Daniel. Somebody have something to share? We still have 3 minutes.
Nobody? Nobody has anything cool to share or anything they've been up to this week?
This Bioleg is hearing us. Do you have audio now, buddy?
Yes, I am finally getting the call. I don't have any idea what happened, but restarting fixed it.
Yeah, the Discord features that noise cancellation, but everything is canceled.
Yeah.
It's just a feature. Yeah.
I've never seen the like before, but fortunately it worked itself out.
So we are just to have first Daniel of RnDAO, and who is our second guest? Is Mochi?
No, I believe it's Luis who's here with us.
Oh, Luis, nice.
Hi guys. Good to meet you all.
Great. Yeah, we are going to connect with you later, or first guest DAO, that is RnDAO. I'm going to provide a couple of links here in the Townhall channel in the Metasquare. Yeah, so everybody can have a link to RnDAO, and Daniel is going to share with us more about it, what have they doing right now, and their fundamentals.
Awesome. Should I get going now or in a bit?
Sure. I think we have 1 minute early, but I would love if you can share the link, because I don't have like access to copy the link in the Discord. It says I can't create a invite a link.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll share a couple of things. I'll share them now. There we go. Yeah, somehow the Discord link in the website is broken, so you have it there. And yeah, awesome. Thank you, Metagamer.
No problemo, bro.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Just to let you all know that Daniel is sharing the links over the Townhall chat that you can enter in the upper right corner in the voice chat. Yeah, now officially we are in our window, so feel free to share anytime. Happy to see Sue here.
Yeah, I mean, good to see a bunch of you that I met in different occasions. So I'm Daniel. I've been in RnDAO from the beginning, and quickly about me. I come from an organization design background, been in Web3 for some time, mostly obsessed about decentralized governance and organizational topics. So used to work at Aragon as head of governance, then left with a few others to start RnDAO. So there was a series of problems that we were seeing in the ecosystem, and Aragon wasn't just the right platform to incubate that. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what those problems are, and then a little bit about the vision for RnDAO, which is what we've been building and working towards coming out of that. So one thing first that was becoming very apparent while I was there was how each of the major DAO tooling projects that we could see, whether it was Aragon or Gnosis or all the others, essentially all these different DAOs were doing a bit of research on how to be a DAO. Like essentially, it's kind of like if we think about a DAO as an ideal or as an aspiration, but it's not really something we know how to do right now. It's more something we're inventing piece by piece. And so all of these different DAOs were trying to figure that out, but they were doing it on the side of their main thing. So let's say MakerDAO is trying to build a stable coin and so on, and they're also trying to be a DAO. And Aragon was trying to build some governance tooling, and they were also trying to be a DAO at some point. And every single ecosystem, Gnosis is the same, all the others the same, Metagame in a way the same. You're trying to build a social club and so on. I'll explain a little bit then how perhaps what you folks do here in Metagame is also slightly more aligned to what RnDAO is doing than other ecosystems. But what became very apparent was that most of these different DAOs and ecosystems that were trying to figure out how to DAO didn't have a lot of expertise in-house in social sciences, group psychology, economics, organization design, governance, political science, like essentially all the sort of social sciences side of it seemed to be very missing. Yeah, seems to be like completely missing essentially from these groups. And what you had instead was a lot of developers and entrepreneurs who were very quickly trying to build things. And so some things will get built. There would be a lot of bad ideas being built as well, and only realized after the fact, and a lot of reinventing the wheel with different lessons that have been learned in other domains because there wasn't that cross-pollination happening. Then the other thing is kind of because each of these different ecosystems or organizations couldn't gather the critical mass to really make something extraordinary, there would be a lot of very talented entrepreneurial people who will come into the ecosystem and be like, oh, wait a second, it's not all already done. I think I can go and build something else. So they would go raise a lot of money from VCs and they would start another organization. And like that, I started to see more and more fragmentation, more and more different like DAO tooling projects, a lot of them trying to do very similar things. But tragically, every new project would sort of end up in the same situation as the original ones, being relatively small, struggling to attract enough resources, is struggling to attract enough talent and have that enough cross-pollination of ideas to be able to kind of have that critical mass and build something truly excellent. Then on the other side, each of these organizations was struggling with two problems at the same time that I was sort of mentioning, that it was innovating in product or somehow trying to find a way to become sustainable in whatever it is they're offering, and at the same time trying to innovate as an organization. So that always creates this tension of, well, we could build a product the way we know how to build it in Web 2, but that's not really what we're trying to do. And then if we try to build it in the Web 3 way and operate in a Web 3 way, that opens a whole Pandora box of very complex and difficult questions about how we do compensation, how we do membership, how we do decision making, how we do all of these different key organizational process. And in some situations, I saw communities that spend so much time figuring out how they organize that they were completely unable to build a product. And so because of that, kind of in the ecosystem started to happen the whole progressive decentralization trend. But the issue with progressive decentralization is that it's actually being a little bit of like, let's say, for example, let's build a car. And then once we have built that car, we're going to go and try to build a house. And somehow the car is going to build a house. And what I mean is, if you want to learn how to build a house, you start by building houses. You don't start by building cars. If you want to learn how to build cars, you don't build houses and then try to build cars. You might be able to pass a couple of lessons, but mostly they're two very different activities. The same way, like if you want to be a plumber, you don't go and study, medicine, because it's not really the most direct route. So with organizations, it's a little bit the same thing. If you want to build a centralized organization, there is a whole logic to it. You recruit people into it. You want to make sure that you filter who goes in to make sure that they have the talent and so on. You then have your top-down decision making, which means that a lot of people don't feel as empowered and so on. So you then really need to ensure accountability with extrinsic motivators. So then you create your OKRs. You figure out that people are actually following, and you have loads of KPIs to track progress. And then based on that, then you can attach bonuses to their salaries and so on. Sorry. Oh, anyway. So what I'm saying is the traditional organizations have a self-reinforcing logic, a whole bunch of things that work with each other and are needed by each other, like the bonus system with the OKRs, with the way they do recruitment and so on. And DAOs are a little bit the same thing, but in a completely different logic. So if you start, once you have built a lot of processes and culture and systems and attracted certain personality types that operate very well in a traditional organization, moving to a decentralized organization is very, very hard because you kind of need to throw everything out and start over. But you cannot really do it because you already have an organization. So you need to start trying to change things. But once you start to change one thing, the other one breaks, and the other one breaks, and the other one breaks, because you're breaking the fundamental logic of the system. It's not really a modular system. Organizations are very monolithic in its logic. Like the culture works with the processes, with the people who are there, or all of these things need to work together. So there was all of these organizations trying to build products and building them the only way they really knew how, which was a more centralized traditional entrepreneurial approach. But then if they were trying to build tools for DAOs, they were actually building their own organization and their own worldview, because you see the world from how you are, in a very centralized way. So we started to move more and more towards like Web 2.5 rather than Web 3. And we have now so many fake DAOs as a result of that. But at the same time, if you expected all of these teams to start building Web3 way from the start, like be a DAO from the start, is really hard, and they didn't know how. So they would stumble and fail. And so when we were seeing these kind of like the fragmentation in the space, the very isolated research happening around, and all of these startups struggling to figure out how to be DAO from the beginning, or how to innovate in product and organization, what the vision that sort of started to form for myself and a few others is like, what if we can create a bit more collaboration? So instead of having so much research done in silos by all of these organizations that are not focused on research necessarily and don't know how to do it very well, we can create a space that is all about how we DAO. And so we research how we DAO, and we collaborate with many different organizations to help them figure out how to DAO. And we ourselves operate as a DAO, so we learn by making all of the mistakes early, and we purposely go and try things that an organization that is, let's say, trying to build a stable coin or trying to build some other sort of product that is, I don't know, some metaverse kind of product wouldn't make sense for them to spend loads of time figuring out the best compensation system possible or the best way to operate into teams or something like that, because it's not the core of what they do. But in our side, because it's all about DAOs, and all of those learnings help us learn how to be a better DAO, so a better organization, but also kind of increase that pool of knowledge that then is our product in some way, it makes sense and we can justify it. And then at the same time, as we learn all of these things about DAOs and do all of this research on how to DAO, we start to spot a bunch of opportunities for solutions that can be built, so for different products. So based on that, we started then essentially transforming all of this knowledge on how we DAO that we are accumulating into products, and also we invest that knowledge into helping the teams around those products operate. So the product teams can focus on building the product and what they learn about their specific area. As long as the products are DAO focused, it kind of ties together with the same thing. So it's let's say a little bit obsessive and a little bit incestuous, but that's what makes it work, is that the products are learning. So for example, we have Katerina here, who's my co-lead around community health. And so we started doing a research project on how do we measure community health in DAOs, and how do we assess it? What does it mean? What does a DAO community actually mean? How do you understand membership? How do you understand the factors that lead to a healthy community and not? And on the back of that, now I started building a DAO community analytics platform that at the same time, all the learnings that we are having about healthy community, we can pass it on to the other teams in the DAO. And there is another team looking at scheduling, another team that's looking at contribution and so on. So what they learn about contribution, or what we learn about contribution, we can pass to this other team. And that way create a sort of a network of DAO tooling oriented or collaboration technology oriented ventures that are all working with each other, having research as the starting point, and I guess is what differentiates us from other sort of ecosystems, incubators, accelerators, and so on, is that emphasis on let's try to bring many different disciplines together. Let's try to understand the problem really, really well before we start building. And then we go and actually try to create the solutions, try it on ourselves as a DAO, and then start sharing it with the other units, and then with external people. And like that, we've been discussing with Metagame, for example, recently to do a community health assessment based on some of the frameworks and research that we've been doing. And we have invited other DAO tooling projects that started in the ecosystem in the wild, but wanted to find a little bit more support, a little bit more of a home, like Meet with Wallet, which is a scheduling tool for DAO contributors, or like a sort of Web3 Calendly, but we're pivoting it more towards team scheduling. So they also joined the DAO for a bit, and we have a bunch of other research projects in early stages exploring things. And that's basically us. If you folks ever are interested in that space, just hit us up. Super happy to have a chat. And if you have ideas for DAO tooling projects and ventures as well, or there is a specific topic around how DAOs operate that you want to research and learn more about, also let us know, and we're happy to support you and mentor you and help you find a team with others in the community and so on.
Oh, that was very, very interesting. I've come across quite a lot of similar issues developing from a kind of product side. So I understand. It would be great to have a chat with you at some point about that. I've met you in real life before.
Oh, awesome.
Many years back through Robin.
Oh shit, small world. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, DM me your name, or I have a very visual memory, so your PFP is great, but I imagine you didn't use that at the time.
No.
Does somebody have any other question to make?
I really like what you're doing and how you presented it. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating to see how everyone's going about it at the same time, and especially with the tooling, the different tooling platforms and the integrations between them. Meet with Wallet we have on our metagame profiles actually, and we use dwork, we use coordinate. But there's also clarity. There's hot lab, skill wallet. These things keep popping up, and it's really cool to see everyone experimenting at the same time and like finding out the details and like what people actually want and need.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of activity happening, and a lot more that's needed. Like there is still so many open problems that almost no one is addressing in the whole space, because almost every single organizational function needs to be reinvented for the new way, for more like networks of empowered teams or of autonomous teams who are making their own decisions, who are more community owned, and that can then interact with each other and aggregate to create bigger things. And corporations are not at all geared to do that, even though some pioneering corporations have been trying to go in that direction for some time. But here is all happening bottom up, which is really cool to see. Then the issue is sometimes the project's not kind of thinking big enough, or like how can these operate if it becomes actually a larger organization with multiple sub teams, or some of the more complex problems that require coordinating more people. But hopefully with good thinking, with bringing different disciplines together and so on, and helping to create a shared vision for what a DAO can actually become and be, then we can also encourage more collaboration and tools that are more effective and can help us get us there.
I would
Okay,
have a question, if it's okay. Yeah, so
sure.
it's how when you're determining like the health picture of a DAO, how open are the DAOs in sharing their operations and sharing their data and their problems and so on? Like, have you found any difficulty in determining this health, making a health report?
So there are some DAOs who are very close and very private. Like we had a conversation, for example, with Balancer, and they were like, "Oh, we don't actually want anyone to have access to any data because it can be dangerous." Because like in the DeFi space in general, people are a lot more wary of sharing any data because of the whole regulatory crackdown. Then in other DAOs, so the assessment uses a couple of techniques that don't necessarily bothering people too much, because that's the other thing. If you wanted to audit all the processes, it would take very significant time and like just a lot of work, which means it would be very expensive and you could only do it every so often. So what we do is we focus more on the social network, the way people are interacting and talking with each other, and you can start to see the structure of that social network, what is called organizational network analysis or social network analysis. Actually, that's Katerina's specialty. I don't know how much time we have, but if you're interested, she can probably talk about it in a lot more depth. And then the other thing that we use is pulse surveys. So it's like micro surveys on recurring basis that allows us to gather more perception data. And when we can cross over the two, we can get a very, very good picture of how it's working. I'm gonna share in the chat as well. We have an article that sort of explains the whole framework and how it works, and how in practice with passive data collection and just a few questions here and there, but very carefully selected questions, we can get very, very good prediction on multiple factors that impact the community health. So it's not necessarily measuring the things directly, but we know that, let's say, if people have a strong sense of community, that predicts retention, that predicts willingness to participate in governance, and predicts a bunch of other things. Thankfully, there is already significant research and like scientific research that's been done in communities, so we had a good base to start from. We just needed to unearth and dig all of that, figure out what was applicable and what not.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Daniel. I wanted to ask you, from your perspective and your research, what would you say are the biggest challenges that DAOs face today for better functioning and coordination?
I mean, pretty much every possible organizational function, to be honest. The whole operating system is not really working. I think there is a big misunderstanding around governance and especially like decision making in smaller teams, where we have two modes of operating. That is just like big scale governance, and then people try to vote on everything, or they try to elect some delegates to do that. And actually, from research in democracy, we know that both of those systems are bad ideas. Both direct democracy and representative democracy are not very good. And they're quite fragile, quite easy to capture those systems through corruption, bribes, and it creates the whole issue that we have with governments repeats itself. Apathy, lack of participation, or only the wealthy people control it, and so on. And then, so what's actually needed is a relatively novel solution. That there is a lot of ideas. It usually relates more to sortition and how do you call it? Anyway, basically citizen assemblies. So it's the idea of selecting small groups of people to make complex decisions on behalf of the community through deliberation. And then at the same time, the whole idea of fractalization, or smaller pods that operate, but the whole system for those pods to operate and to make decisions as pods is still not very clear and not very set up. So we have a few ideas that we are experimenting with on how that can work, but there is no tooling to do that yet. We actually have a unit that is starting to explore whether we can build tooling for that problem. The other thing is, or for me, a lot of the issues is essentially we build DAOs around finances, around how we make decisions to move tokens and how we store tokens, but we haven't really built DAOs as organizations. And by organizations, I mean mostly people, social layer, making decisions, allocating people to different tasks, or people self-allocating to different tasks. But that whole idea of there is a need, an organizational need, and then there is what people can do, and how do you match these two together effectively? It doesn't really exist. Like the only thing we have is recruitment protocols, but that brings people into the community, into the DAO. But then once within the DAO, there is no way to fluidly do that matchmaking effectively. Compensation is still a huge issue. We use Coordinate. I had experimented with Source Credit in the past. Both tools sort of function, but they're really not great. So we end up creating our own sort of compensation model, at least for the community health unit that we're experimenting with at the moment, combining some of these tools, but with extra processes on top. And yeah, off the top of my head, I forget, but let me fish you. We did some research asking the broader ecosystem about top problems in DAOs, and we have a report around that, which I'm gonna find out, and I'll post it in the chat as well. And there will be a bunch more ideas there.
Great, thank you very much.
I had a quick question. I was wondering if you had heard of the term sociocracy, as you were mentioning fractal organizational structures. I wonder if you'd ever heard of that, and if you had an opinion on it, if you have.
Yeah, actually, we invited not too long ago. We have some RnDAO events that are usually focused around different organizational topics, and we invited Ted Rao, who's one of the key people at Sociocracy for All. And we had a conversation about it. I'll share the video also in the chat if you want it. For me, Sociocracy is a very interesting model. It has a lot that DAOs could learn from. I find it was very constructed for organizations who are working co-located synchronously, and where let's say the level of membership to the units is more oriented towards full-time rather than very part-time ad hoc contributors. So it sort of works, but not fully. There is a thing called S-Free, or that is another group. They're not web-free. They just call Sociocracy Free, S-Free, that they had created a collection of patterns. So they took a bunch of organizational patterns from Sociocracy, but instead of Sociocracy is sometimes like this monolithic system. So they broke it down in a few patterns, and one can use inspiration from those different patterns as part of the design system. But the key bits about Sociocracy of having clearly defined roles, a governance system that define the roles, but then within the roles, having more autocratic decision-making, or essentially the role holder is empowered to make decisions. And those sort of patterns make a lot of sense. So they are somewhat similar to some of the things in Holacracy that also has kind of similar advantages and disadvantages when it comes to DAOs, that is not fully enabling ad hoc contributors. They're like very intense systems where you need a lot of training and a lot of dedication and consistency to operate them. And if you have people who want to operate, but they only have 4 hours a week available, it's very hard to enable them to understand how to navigate the organization and operate within the organization in those systems. So at least personally, I tend to go more through a bastardized approach that leverages some of those patterns, but not too much. Hello, everyone. There. I just put in the chat the talk with Ted Rao if you want to check it out.
Thank you for your time and everything you shared today. I really want to have more involved with the concept of cross-pollination. Hummingbirds and bees, you know, they are in charge to keep us alive. And content curation is basically that too. We are creators and curators at the same time, and to develop that consciousness is so important. Happy to have you today sharing about RnDAO. You have more information over the Townhall chat.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, feel free to ping me if anyone wants to chat more.
Yeah, beautiful. So we now have as guest our friend Louis from Albiverse. I would love to know more. So if you are around, you can open your mic. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good. How you doing?
Good, great. Thanks, man. Thanks everyone for being here. I know we're almost on time. So yeah, I'll try to be really quick. And it's the second time I speak after Daniel. He's left already. I know he's still at some event recently, and I always think it's not so easy to speak after him. So I'll just keep it really quick because we have 1 minute left, and some of you might have other things. I have a commitment afterwards. But yeah, I also know Alec in the call, and I see a bunch of familiar faces. So I'll just quickly let you know what we do, and we're working with Moshi as well for what we're doing. But basically, I started my Web3 journey focusing on DAOs. So a lot of the conversations that we just had are really familiar. I used to be spending all my time thinking about DAOs. But 3 years into my Web3 experience, I had this big burnout. I guess too many people in the space have. No worries. I'm seeing there your comment, Daniel. No, it's all good. The conversation earlier was really interesting. It's always great to hear you speaking. No worries. And so and I had this big burnout, and so basically my health became a priority. It had never been a priority before, especially my mental health, which had been something that was bothering me without me really knowing it for a long time, but kind of really was worsened by this bad burnout and the kind of the hustle of Web3 and addiction to Web3 and all these things. And so started a year ago, started to want to fix this for myself, and started this kind of what I call this mental fitness journey. So basically, thinking of myself as someone who has really bad poor mental health. I don't have pre-existing as far as I know. I mean, I'm definitely a very anxious person at first, so that might be a thing. But I decided to kind of start working on my mental health to actually become what I call mentally fit, which means have a very good mental health, being able to be more resilient to stress, be able to be more happy, be more vital, be able to pursue different goals in life, whether that's being working and achieving my ambitious performance goals, or just being nice to the people around me and being able to enjoy moments with my family and friends and stuff. I really felt that when at the lowest point of this burnout, I had a big issue with not being able to live as I wanted. So I started working with all these different practices. This read a lot of books, practiced a lot of things, and I'm just very early in my practice as well. But discovered became much more serious about meditation, about journaling, about breath work, how I'm breathing. Rediscovered a lot of things about my body, reconnected to my emotions and sensations in my body. So it's been a whole journey of rediscovering all these things, and I've been this has been the most rewarding thing in my life. I'm now I think at some one of the happiest point ever that I've been, even before Web3 or whatever. So I'm really happy about that, and so that made me wanting to share that with more people in Web3, because I know that so many of us have similar problems, are struggling with some kind of like burnout or some minor mental health issue that might not require like, a greater care, but it's just like physical fitness. Everyone benefits from doing some stretching, some yoga, and some running or some weightlifting, whatever you're into. And the thinking is the same here. Like everyone benefits from taking care of their mental health, being intentional, being proactive about it, because that's really something that you can shape. We tend to think that the mental health is a given, and of course you don't. It's bad to binge watch too much or like to be addicted to to trading or whatever. But yeah, it's much more than this. There's this our brains are really organs. They're really plastic, and you can really shape them through doing training. You can also train them to recover faster, or just like really watch your mental diet, like whatever you ingest in your brain. And of course, like a lot of the Eastern philosophies of like Buddhism and yoga and whatever it is, got a lot of this nailed out since a very long time. But here, with mental fitness, the intention is really to word this and to bring this to a Western audience and a tech audience in Web3 in a way that's really kind of like much simpler. Just like put your running shoes in and go for a run, and that's going to be good for this and that reason. Here, the idea with mental fitness is similar, and just try to demystify or create a new brand and culture around it that is not only just like sit in lotus position and meditate and go to India, to kind of like try to make it available to more people, even though like so many people now are interested in these things. So yeah, there's a question here. If you have a link, I've been scrolling through web pages to provide content for the recording. So a few links, like I think a link has been shared earlier on. So a few like the website we have is twoplus.xyz. So twoplus.xyz. And you can also check out most of my content at thanks for sharing. Albiverse, ALBIVERSE on Twitter, and twoplus_XYZ on Twitter as well. And yeah, we were just about to launch a program which unfortunately hasn't filled up. And so we're kind of like trying to reflect on this and see exactly how we're going to evolve our offering, messaging, products and stuff. And we're really open, looking to chat with people who are enthusiastic about creating a new, image and new movement for mental health that is really based on, how can we grow ourselves and take, also Web3 challenges as an opportunity to just like grow and not just let ourselves, for example, be overwhelmed and stressed out and eventually burn out without really knowing what to do. So I'll just close there. We're 6 minutes past the hour. If anyone wants to ask a question, feel free, and I'm also happy to follow up and DM on Discord or Twitter or anything.
Yeah, I think this is actually a disease of the Web3 kind of sector. I know so many. I've experienced it. I've been out for about 6-7 months this year with it, from my health, from burning out, from working the last 2 years. I know countless people that have done it. Something needs to change. I look forward to what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
I have a quick question on the subject of just time commitments and whatnot. To take part in your program, what's the time commitment like?
So time commitment was varying through the weeks, but like the program, the span of the program was like 8 weeks total. The first 3 weeks were 2 1-hour session each week roughly. I mean, one of these weeks had like 4 sessions with like experts in meditation, breathwork, journaling, and SDR. So that was like a 1 hour a day, so 4 days a week. So that was but the rest of, so that was for the 3 first weeks, and the rest of the program, basically the 5 following weeks, were mostly async content and optional like live sessions. So that's kind of like what, the time commitment we had. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah, made sense to me.
So yeah, I mean, any thoughts here? Yeah, I think what's interesting, what's been interesting so far, and of course, I think, I'm just like early in my journey of addressing these problems, is that I see burnout and things as such a huge need, and that's really a big need, because like burning out is a lot of suffering and just like stress, even like that could be avoided. It's interesting to me that there's it's still hard to have people take care of this, because that's probably not really incentivized by socially, or don't really gain any status by not being burnt out or anything like that. But it's been interesting to me to see that the need is so big, and see all these people around me having these mental health struggles, but still like I think it's a real challenge to turn it into a narrative. I mean, I have a strong belief that eventually, I mean, fitness itself became a thing like over a couple of decades, and it wasn't a thing before the 1980s or something. I have a firm belief that mental health is about to go through the same transformation, but that's also a big cultural thing that will need multiple actors and generations to change. But yeah, pretty also convinced in the value of some of the tools that are being gaining momentum in society, and but still like pretty much unknown of most people, and we don't really have a culture yet of that that it's saying that it's fun to work on your mental health the same way we have it for physical health. And so that's kind of like I guess one of the challenges we're trying to tackle.
Hey, Luis. Nice. Does somebody have any question to make?
Oh, and by the way, so before we end the call, like, so we've been working with Moshi and using it as a really interesting piece of the program. And so what I mentioned as the 4 weeks of async practice that was administered through Moshi, and so people would initially set goals and use the practices that we would teach them in the first part of the course, and eventually practice them on a daily basis through Moshi to build a habit and build an experience, and do that with peers. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys do with Moshi in here, and I'm also maybe happy to schedule workshop if you're interested, where we can like go through a bunch of mental fitness practices, and maybe start a Moshi journey in the Metagame community with some of the mental fitness tools. Yeah, if you're interested, I'm happy to chat about this.
Nice, Luis. Mental health is really important into Web3 because I think that, people that practices trading, scalping, or even, devs that are working hard, maybe they don't have the time or the habit to have a mental health approach, to maybe do some yoga, hear some music, or play some music, and just to have a talk. And
Yep, totally.
Yeah, and these spaces have a nice potential to be mental health space, getting us closer. In the beer market is when it's the most needed, or at least we have to make more music of mental health spaces, because you know we have suicides in the ecosystem, and we have a lot of issues that started or that get potential that the world exists but with the lockdown and with the COVID and around the globe. And technology was actually there to get us closer with our family, with, I mean, the routines have changed a lot. And I think that more now than ever, we use technology to be connected. But what does actually means? What meaning we can give to be connected?
I think a good that's a good one. Yeah, sorry, I was just giving the room. Yeah, I think technology and connection is really one that is that is special. I mean, you said it, like, I think to a certain extent technology is useful to create bridges, and so you know what, I think technology is great at creating weak ties of connections and sustaining weak ties of connections between people, where basically, you know, if you're not seeing someone for a year or 2 years, maybe, you know, following them on Twitter or Instagram, or being able to play with them through on some online game is going to be great to sustain a relationship and eventually help it to survive. But I think there's, you know, a degree of intensity, and you know, if you want to actually connect in a way that, you know, is meaningful to your body and biology, you know, and brain, um from from a really like biological standpoint, like, you know, you have to have a contact, you have to have, you know, skin contact, you have to uh, you, to be face to face, to be able to really relate to, and so
Hey guys, I don't know if it was me or you. I'm asking over the text chat because didn't want to interrupt. But are you hearing, Louis? It was really robotic for me.
I'm getting the same dropouts.
Oh, it dropped out. So it was a problem from Louis, or it is my connection.
It was definitely Lewis. It was all buggy on my end too.
Oh, oh, what a shame. I really lost all what he's talking about. We can wait a couple of minutes to see if he comes by again. In the meantime, we can share a song if you guys feel like song time. I like this space about talking about mental health. and how we can use Web3 to, connecting roots to the wireless is part of that. Is we can find health when we find also our life purpose. So Mochi is a great tool. Metagame is a nice metaphysic concept. And yeah, I think we were talking with this Bulik the other day over Bart's night. He showed me a song about an artist that write a song about that Thursday it was going to be the world peace, so they were preparing for that party of the world peace. And I think that we were talking about, hey, how do you think we are going to find world peace, or the next revolution? And we were talking that it's going to happen through music. And that song about preparing for the Saturday when the world peace party is going to be, I think Metagame and these projects with these long-term visions is that people preparing it for that party. Oh, Luis got
Okay,
back.
sorry, I think I lost you.
Hey, Luis, and we lost you too. I think that anybody can hear the last section, entirely section you shared with us. If you can share again, if you have a connection again, it can be great to hear you again.
Yeah, I mean, you were asking about connection, and yeah, what I was saying was, yeah, that was the relationship between technology. I think we need more education around what technology is good for when it comes to connection and what it cannot do. And there's, I think technology is great at sustaining like weak ties of relationships between people over Twitter, over Discord, over a gaming, a game or an online game or something. Sorry for the background noise, by the way. But technology cannot, you cannot really deeply connect through technology at this point. Maybe in the long term future, but at this point, you can't really replace, the physical contact, voice contact, like direct human contact, basically. So I think that's a big issue in the space, and we have to, create a culture of people being more aware of, what they need, and also how they be proactively going towards feeling these like psychological, physiological needs. And yeah, we're at this point like where we need, I think, to create a cool culture around mental health, and my bad being mental fitness, and or something else really, and try to incentivize people to get in the flow, and also be more public about their mental health and mental fitness efforts and stuff. So I think that's where we are now.
Thank you for sharing, Luis. Anybody has any question?
I really have to go myself as well, guys. So yeah, I wanted to thank you, guys, and thank Pete for inviting me, and thanks Jose for moderating this call, and everyone for being here, and Daniel for this great talk on DAOs. Thanks everyone for today, and have a good weekend.
Sure, man. Thank you for being with us today, sharing about this mental health project. Albiverse is the name, right?
So twoplus is the name of the project. Twoplus, TWOPLUS, and Albiverse is my like pseudonym on Twitter. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you, man. Take care. Have a great
Thank
day
you.
and weekend as
Yeah,
well.
you too. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Yeah, looking forward. It was nice. I'm going to share a song to close the space.
Great talk today. Oh, Jah Rastafari, you are my salvation. You make me realize the love surrounding us all in every situation. You and then I. Oh, Jah Rastafari, you are my salvation. You make me realize the love surrounding us all in every situation. You and then I. Oh, Jah. So deep, so deep, so deep roots, so strong. Hold on forever, forever, oh Jah, oh Jah. You have given me everything I need to be free in this reality. Whoa, in this reality. Yeah. Oh Jah Rastafari, you are my salvation. You make me realize the love surrounding us all in every situation. You and then I. Oh, Rastafari, you are my salvation. You make me realize the love surrounding us all in every situation. You and then I. Oh, just so deep, so deep, so deep roots, so strong. Hold on forever, forever hold on.
Forever hold on. Woo!
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I should. I'm getting rugged sometimes. Well, I think it was all our schedule. We have free time. Dibujo libre.
Thanks. How's it going?
Yo yo.
Hey, Penguin.
Hey, fam. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, you too, man. It's been a little minute.
Yeah, I finally have a small break today because the turkey day yesterday.
Yeah, bro.
1 hour on my schedule freed up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, bro, that's something else.